what if you have to go back in time? What if it's a year or even 2 years where you could find your best comp?
Hey everybody, this is Scott Kraft with Pine Financial Group, where we work together so you succeed. You found us here on Facebook, you found us on YouTube. Please give us a like, give us a subscribe. We're trying to build a community with like-minded individuals so that we can help you learn more and be more successful. Today I'm here with Kevin Amolsch, and we are going to talk a little bit about valuing properties when it's hard to find good comps.
Yeah, we talked about this in another video, Scott, where you went through very well 3 different tips to come up with your ARV. And then we just thought maybe we should elaborate on one of those tips a little bit, because what if you can't find the suburban neighborhood with all the tract homes, the exact, beautiful, perfect comp neighborhood, right? So what if it's rural, or what if it's a little unique? How do you do it? That was the question, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, typically when you're trying to find an ARV, it's simpler when you're in more urban areas where neighborhoods are clearly defined and houses are typically very similar. But if we're in a more suburban, more rural area, it's not necessarily like that.
Yeah, so there's 2 things here. We're talking about location, and we're talking about the age of comp, like how far back did the sale actually take place? Because ideally we want to be, 3 to 6 months or sooner, and within like half a mile, but it can't be an exact radius. We talk about that quite a bit. But if you can't find that, so let's talk about the first one. If it's older comp, so what if you have to go back in time? What if it's a year or even 2 years where you could find your best comp? Well, that could still be a good comp, even though it's really old or seasoned. But what we have to do is we have to adjust that comp for whatever the market has done. So this can be very tricky, Scott, but if you're looking at a specific area, you might try to figure out the appreciation or depreciation over that year or 2, and then add that or subtract that from the sold price to try to get a little bit closer to what is actually happening today.
Okay. Would you consider this more of an art or a science?
Well, that's definitely an art, because there's no specific data that you could pull from, right? You got to go out, you got to go outside. In this city, we've seen an appreciation rate of X over the last year, and that would be one way to do it. But it's not going to be 100% accurate. What we're trying to do here is just get as close as possible.
Okay. So we've talked about market timing. What happens if we're talking about maybe like a mountain property or something where, your nearest neighbor is a half mile away?
Yep. And so that's a good question. So in the suburban neighborhoods or urban neighborhoods, you could get comps within like really close, like even on the same street oftentimes, right? And that's ideal. But if you can't find that, you might have to expand your search further. Maybe it's a mile and a half, 2 miles away. I've seen comps that are 10 miles away from the subject property, but it's still considered the same neighborhood. It has all the same influences, the same schools, the same distance to the town for shopping, all of those things. So you don't necessarily get hung up on a half-mile radius that we hear about all the time. What we're looking for in those types of neighborhoods is it the same influence, and is it going to have the same desirability to a buyer?
Okay. Those are great tips, because those are hard properties to come up with a value on. And always my recommendation to investors is, if you're doing a flip on a property like that, bake in some extra room, right? Absolutely. So if you have any more questions about how to value tricky properties, please give us a call. We're more than happy to help you, walk you through, look at some numbers, and you can find us at www.pinefinancialgroup.com.